What if I told you that in order to solve all your problems, all you'd have to do is commit a murder? Would you do it? Most people would say no, because it's wrong. But what if right and wrong don't apply to you?
Life is a war. This is the Forge. Welcome to Steel and Scrolls.
This is exactly what Rodion Raskolnikov, the protagonist of Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, thought. He thought that the moral law did not apply to him because he was something of a Napoleon, a grandmaster moving the pieces of history. However, when he crosses the line to meet with his destiny as a king, he gets more than he bargained for. Dostoevsky tried to show us that placing ourselves above the moral law does not make us a king. Instead, it slowly morphs us into a worm. Raskolnikov is a poor but brilliant law student living in a tiny rundown apartment in 19th century St. Petersburg. He publishes an article in which he divides the world into two classes, the ordinary and the extraordinary. The ordinary are the masses, the rule followers of history. They are the people who exist to populate the earth and to act as pawns in the game played by the second group of people, the extraordinary, the Napoleons. They don't follow the rules. They ignore them as they see fit to exact their will upon the world. Raskolnikov is desperate to prove that he is part of the second group, the extraordinary. The laws of morality don't apply to him. To test his theory, he decides to murder a wealthy pawnbroker to whom many a young man in the city owed money. He rationalizes this decision by saying that her life is worthless because she doesn't contribute meaningfully to society. Her money can be used to help thousands of good people. After brutally murdering her with an axe, her sister Lizaveta walks in, and he is forced to kill her too. Instead of feeling proud and triumphant, he is immediately struck by profound guilt and shame. He falls into a feverish delirium, and his crippling paranoia pushes his mother and his sister away. He engages in a psychological cat-and-mouse game with the detective Porfiry Petrovich, who suspects Raskolnikov, but lacks proof. Raskolnikov meets and befriends Sonia Marmeladova, a young woman forced into prostitution to feed her family. As a contrast to Raskolnikov's pride and narcissism, Sonia is humble and self-sacrificing. As a devout Christian, her profession causes her great inner turmoil, but she sees no other way to sustain her family. We'll dive deeper into her character in the next video, so stay tuned. Eventually, Raskolnikov confesses his crime to her, and she urges him to accept his suffering and turn himself in. After much emotional anguish, Raskolnikov eventually hands himself in to the authorities to accept his punishment. After a year of rotting away in a Siberian prison, his faith in his theory finally shatters, and his path to spiritual renewal begins. You might say that a rational person would never come to the same conclusion that Raskolnikov did, and you'd probably be right. However, I think that his reasoning resonates more with us modern men and women than you might first think. The ideas that Raskolnikov put forth in his article have a modern equivalent. We don't call them the ordinary and the extraordinary. We call them the NPCs and the main characters. The term NPC comes from the gamer community, and it stands for non-player character. It refers to characters in a video game that are not controlled by a player of the game. They are merely there to fill the space of the game and to make the game seem more populated. They have no goals and dreams of their own, and they do not have an influence in the direction of the game. Contrast this to the idea of the main character. These are the characters that are controlled by the players of the game, and they are responsible for the direction of the game. Why is this important? Well, you see, Raskolnikov's biggest idea is that he's different from the rest of society. He's not the same as everyone else, and therefore the set of rules by which he should abide is different. He's the main character. The storyline of the world exists because of him. Too often I think we see ourselves as the main character of our own lives, as a Rodion Raskolnikov. We are the ones around whom our world revolves. Our missions and goals are the main plot, and everyone else plays second fiddle to the mission objectives, so to speak. The Uber driver exists only to get us from point A to point B, and the barista exists only when we want coffee. Our family and friends exist only when we need their help. Part of Raskolnikov's motivation for the pawnbroker's murder was the fact that her money could be used to help others, especially those in need. He presented a simple mathematical calculation for why she shouldn't be allowed to live. an equation called utilitarianism. This is a philosophy that argues that the best action is the one which maximizes the overall welfare of the world and minimizes the suffering. Raskolnikov took this logic to a dark extreme and decided that her life was worth less than her money. He firmly believed that it was his duty, one of the extraordinary, to carry out this act of violence. There's one thing that Raskolnikov didn't plan for, however, the moral law. Instead of emerging from the pawnbroker's apartment as a triumphant emperor returning from a campaign abroad, he crawls out as a pathetic worm. He becomes a shell of his former self. He spirals into a depressive, delirious state, and his guilt totally consumes his life. We see similar logic applied today in the form of weaponized therapy. Labels like toxic, narcissist, or bad energy are used to create a distance between us and people we don't want to deal with. We treat people and their brokenness as an obstacle to be removed. If someone in our life does anything that inadvertently makes our lives harder, we call them toxic and cut them out. That clingy friend disturbs my peace, so I have to cut them out. I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm not advocating for putting up with abuse or situations where you are taken advantage of. There are definitely real-world cases where cutting someone off is justified. However, it's important that we ask ourselves, is this trait genuine toxicity, or is it just inconvenient? Are my friends or significant others genuinely toxic, or are they just as broken as I am? Others are not merely pawns to be played, but people to be loved. Loving someone includes putting up with their nonsense. It does not mean co-signing their nonsense, but it does mean forgiving. People are going to do things that inconvenience us. People are going to do things that hurt us. If we're not careful, eventually we won't have anyone to cut off. Like Raskolnikov, our overuse of weaponized therapy will leave us isolated and cut off from the people around us. There is no life in walking alone, and there is no joy in not having people to share your life with. We are social creatures, even the most introverted of us. We were not meant to walk alone. We're very quick to remove NPCs from our lives. However, this idea is a lie, and it's what turned Raskolnikov into a worm. The reality is that there are no NPCs. Every single person you will ever meet is the protagonist of a tragedy just as complex, painful, and real as your own. If you live your life believing that you are the only player that matters, you will end up playing alone. As Raskolnikov learned, being the king of nothing is hell, and being an ordinary man amongst brothers is heaven on earth. Raskolnikov realized in that Siberian prison that the spiritual work of becoming an ordinary man is the hardest part. How exactly do we move past our mistakes and find that redemption? We'll explore the answer to that question through the light of Sonia, his prostitute friend, in the next video, so stay tuned.